Welcome to Bahamarico. We are the Bahamarican boys. I am your guest, all the way from Nassau, Bahamas, Timmay. And by way of Puerto Rico and New York, we have Bryan Fonseca.
That's right.
Gotta do the hand movement.
Yeah. You love doing that.
And my guy, I mean, if you don't know, you don't really care about basketball, senior NBA writer for ESPN's The Undefeated, Marc Spears.
Bang the table, Timmy. Bang the table like we did last week.
Timmay, do you really spell your name like that? Because I feel like you do.
Welcome.
Timmy,
I think I banged the table too hard. My mic went out.
Yeah,
no. I said it. Is that how you really spell your name? I feel like you should. If you don't spell your name that way, you should change it. You should change it and spell it that way.
He says it that way, but it's spelled because I know this because I have him on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? So it's just Timmy, but like when he's on
I think
Twitter,
he needs to change it, man. Just like some actors and actresses.
Can you hear me out there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We're talking about your first name.
You need to change your name to that spelling.
Yeah, you got to add the A in Timmy for your first name, as opposed to because on LinkedIn he's professional. It's just Timothy. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, Timothy's not gonna work. You just want to just own it. Just add the AY, just own it at the end. But
that's like Stephen Curry if he would have went with Wardell.
Well, look, that's a good theory because look, it's a star theory, right?
That's actually his first name.
Yeah. But I think I don't know, like how would people perceive him if his name was Wardell as opposed to if he went by Wardell as opposed to Steph? You know what I mean? Like Wardell just doesn't have that sort of same,
man.
Yeah, I clearly banged the table too hard. My mic was not having it,
I know you shot. See, I got like a nice firm, like sort of setup here.
Yeah.
Like
we had this whole discussion about you, and you missed the whole thing.
I know, right?
Just look on your government if you can, just go somewhere, get that done. Just add the A in Timmay and make it in all caps. You know what I mean?
I actually planned to eventually for real. Like just call me just like Prince. I just go by Timmay now.
I feel like it'd be a lot easier to change your name in the Bahamas than the United States.
Oh yeah, you just have to put it in the paper. You have to make a announcement like I, Timothy Bain, intend to go by Timmay, and if no one opposes it in 30 days, I'm good to go.
Once you get verified
tomorrow.
Once you get verified on Twitter, do it. Once you get verified on Twitter, just do it. Just be Timmay.
Timmay. Yeah.
Because that's how you say it anyway. But Marc, thank you for for joining us here because we have, a lot to get into. And, we want to start off, obviously, like your background and things like that. And, both of us being in the media space, myself as a sort of jack of all trades, writer, on-air person, Timmy, the same thing down in the Bahamas where he's sort of little by little mobilizing to America. How he got to this network, for example, but like in your background, like just how your journey, tell the people your journey, how you sort of got to this point. And I know for me in particular, I would like to get into like how journalism has changed and how you've sort of seen it change and experienced it change over the last, especially 10 years or so, because it feels like a lot of things just happen quickly.
Yeah, no, I mean, shoot, my story might take up the whole 45 minutes, but I'll try to give you the short version. I've known I wanted to be a sports writer since 7th grade. There was a career day at my junior high school in San Jose, and it was actually a guy from the Golden State Warriors that was there. And I went to listen to him because I was hoping to get like some free tickets or, like a hat, bumper sticker or something, right? And he didn't give me nothing, but he did give me some great advice. Some reason he asked me, he's like, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I'm like, I want to play for y'all. Right. And he's like, well, what if you can't? What if you get hurt?
Right.
I'm like, well, I hadn't thought that far. So he was like, well, my advice to you is if you could find a job where you can combine what you love most in life with what you do best in school, you'll find a job that you're happy to go to every day. And I really, really thought about it. And I was like, well, if I can't play in NBA, can't play in the World Series, can't play in the Super Bowl, the next best thing is to be there. And I thought about what he said, what I do best in school, right? I sucked at math and science, and what I love most is sports. So I decided to be a sports writer, and I wrote a guy by the name of Marc from the San Jose Mercury News, and he basically told me, what I needed to do from 7th grade through college to become a sports writer. And the first thing he said was, in junior high, write on the school paper, cover a team. I did that. I covered the Silverdale Bears 8th grade flag football team, man. If you go look at the archives at the junior high school library, you could probably find my stories. That's where I put the J, Mark J. Spears. That's where that comes from. That was a 7th grader's decision.
Oh, okay.
Then in high school, he said take all the typing classes you could take, get on a school paper or the school newspaper. I did the school newspaper, took 3 typing classes. And then in college, all the internships you can take and get on the school paper, and I did that. And then by the time I graduated, I played college basketball. I had some highs and some lows. One was probably good enough. I got a call about playing professionally in Mexico. That's about it.
Okay.
But I felt like a first round.
Yeah.
I felt like a first round draft pick in terms of journalism because I had some great internships. And I wrote on a school paper, and I even, by the time I was graduating from college, I was covering high school basketball for the San Jose Mercury News. So my first job in '95, I was covering Arkansas's football and basketball team for the Tulsa, Oklahoma world, which is when you're coming out of college, especially at that time, you typically didn't get those opportunities to cover an SEC school but I was able to do that. And 4 years later, I was covering NBA.
Yeah. So, and amid that time, like, especially these last 10 years, like I mentioned before, just, I know this from graduating in 2012, and I feel like I've seen digital media, journalism, and this entire landscape just flip so much. Because when I graduated, it was like, all right, we just started using Instagram largely, and now it's changed everything so much. So in your experience, just I know it's different time, but I'm saying, like, just, I don't want to say it as broad as like the state of journalism, but like, what do you feel like if you can pick one big advantage people have now breaking in and one big disadvantage people have now breaking in compared to, when you were breaking in, what would those be?
I mean, I think they're both social media related. There was no social media when I was in college. I remember in '93 when I had transferred to San Jose State from the University of District of Columbia. They were like, "Hey, we're going to start this new thing. It's called email."
Oh, okay.
Email? What is this? And I remember it was Marc with a C .Spears at sjsu.edu. I think that was my first email.
Jeez.
And they're like, you could send a message to somebody, and then they could. I'm like, why not just call them? Like, this is stupid. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, this is dumb. And I think as a journalist, with the evolution, the fast evolution over like the next 15, 20 years, I just remember being at a big disadvantage. Like when I started covering the Denver Nuggets in 1999, and I would have some breaking news, and you had to wait till the paper came out the next day in order to break the news. Like you might have been sitting on that news for like 18 hours, right?
Yeah.
Like waiting for the newspaper to come out. And so that I remember all of a sudden we had blogs, right?
Yeah.
So you could in the early 2000s like break some news on blogs, and that would give you a timestamp. So you could say, well, I put this on a blog at 5:45 p.m. and then people would get notifications on email like, oh wow, this trade happened. Wow, and Twitter like changed the whole game.
Yeah.
I must say you are like one of the 10 people I have on notifications, and you on it. So I like you have mastered that. I must say you.
Yeah, I probably tweet too much. Probably isn't annoying to my.
But that's probably why I follow you. Like I don't follow writers who only tweet about breaking news or like you actually engage. So I think that's one of the reasons why. Like I told you, I followed you back from I made click on 2009. You were my first like 50 follows, like because you have good content. So like I said, you mastered that part. Like some people I don't follow because it's just trades. You know nothing about their personality, what they like, you know. So
no, I appreciate it. That gives me, and I don't feel as bad now. Right. But no, my cousin, I'll give her credit. My cousin English in 2009, she's like, you got to join Twitter. Like, what? She's like, trust me, it's an amazing tool. You could send news out at the drop of a hat and your followers could read it. And I was like, but I don't want people to know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And then like she explained to me from a media standpoint, like how it could help. And then as I joined, I remember I got 100 followers and I was like, wow. No, I think when I got to like 1,000, I was like, wow, I can send a tweet out and 1,000 people can see it at one time. Like I was so excited. And now, like, you know, I'm doing okay. I'm over 500 million now.
500 million, yeah, right.
Like, so,
500 million.
You know, I'm on Instagram, but I guess I'm not cute enough. I don't have nearly as many. I got 35,000 on. You know, I don't think they want to see me posing on Instagram and all that. So I'm trying to get better at Instagram. But to answer your question, I think that social media has allowed a journalist like, well, for example, for you to interview me. I'm in California. We got someone in New York, and we got someone in the Bahamas. So that and it allows you to like do an interview like this and send it out.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe hey, I'll retweet it, and then you're like, well, who are these two dudes like that Spears tweeted out about? Let me check them out, and then So I think you have the ability to promote your brand better. You promote your work. And it could be lightning in a bottle if you have something that's intriguing to the listener, the viewer, the person following you. I think the bad is everybody thinks they're an expert.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like some of the, like I learned long ago, and I've told some of my colleagues this, like you can't, like I don't understand why David Aldridge said, you always say this, but I don't know why you beating up on. I always say, why you worried about what somebody in Des Moines said? You know what I mean? Like has 15 followers. You're like, why you always say Des Moines? I said, I don't know. It just sounds funny to me. But unless somebody, one thing Mark Cuban once told me, unless somebody has a significant amount of followers, like just brush it off. Everybody's not going to like what you say or what you put out or the information. And sometimes you're just the messenger, and you're not. You know, and they take it personal. And so I take comments with a grain of salt, man. I do appreciate, like Timmay, man, he one of the first people that retweet me all the time. I really appreciate that, man.
Man.
I probably got like people follow me in Bahamas because of him, you know.
Facts.
I appreciate him more than you know, but like the haters, man, like I think ultimately I know I'm a good person. And I care about humanity. You know, I want what's best for African Americans. I want the best for Americans. I want best for the world. You know, and if something's bad, I'll call it out.
Right.
You know, but what I'm calling out, sometimes there might be some racist people that don't like me for saying, writing about what I write about or say what I say. So I say all this, like, if you're new to the media and you don't have a thick skin, it's going to be a problem.
Yep.
Like you got to have a thick skin and not like the only thing you got to be concerned about. I got death threats about 4 years ago once over a basketball comment I made about a player.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have to take it seriously because, I mean, obviously that's something you should take seriously, but you don't know. The thing is, you don't know who's really making these comments, right? What if there are actual people that are really upset.
And you're so
Also,
accessible in a way, like you're out there, so you
yeah,
never know who they might come to where you work or where they think you're gonna be
yeah,
to a game.
yeah. And I had but then one time a friend told me, yeah, my dad, he likes just trolling people to see if they respond to it. He doesn't really feel that way. He just so like that kind of put things in perspective to me too. Like, why am I worried about what somebody says? And honestly, like everybody's not gonna like what I say either, and I got to be okay with that. When I'm not God because I have an opinion doesn't mean that it's the law. It's just my opinion as a journalist, and so I had to have thick skin too. That it's okay if somebody disagrees with me in a healthy manner, right? Like it's okay, and it's also good because it helps you like engage in conversation. And sometimes there have been some comments I'm like, you know what? They're right. I am wrong on this. Let me erase this.
That happens every
Maybe I
now
should
and
have
then.
thought that one out a little more,
Yeah.
But I try to be very careful about what I put out there. Because all you're representing yourself, your family, your company. So, but yeah.
Yeah, being that this network is rooted in South Florida sports in Miami in
It's like I
particular.
literally had it across my forehead. I was thinking it. I don't know if Bryan read my forehead because that was
Yeah,
my next question.
because we do. Yeah, I'll let Timmy set this up. But being that you cover the NBA as well, Mark, let's get into a little bit of Miami Heat stuff. Timmy, you
Yeah,
can start us off there.
so like 5 recent sports, we are big heat stuff and so this type of network, and the fan base always feels like national media doesn't care or really pay attention to what the Heat are doing. Like the Heat have been.
Go ahead.
I just wanted I was going to ask like a big ESPN question. I just wanted to know your personal opinion on the Heat because third seed, no Jimmy and Bam for like half the season. We are over here hoping for a Heat and Warriors finals, and you're a big guy. We just want to know what do you think about the Heat chances are making the finals this year.
Let me also say this, Mark. I don't care about like how much national attention, whatever. Because I was telling people like, look, it helps the network if they don't get national attention. So who cares? But you can have the floor now. I'm just throwing that in there as a
The preface. I don't care personally. I'm just saying that with the base.
But the streets do care.
The scare, Mark. The streets care.
The Lakers probably get too much attention, but it's all because they had a guy named LeBron James, right?
Yeah.
And they're the Lakers.
And they're the Lakers. They're a brand. But when the Lakers were trash in between the LeBron and Kobe years, they weren't getting the same attention, right? Superstars, the Lakers have been blessed with superstars from the days of Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West,
Michael Thompson.
they've always had like not only just a star but an icon. So I think that alone has always made like I kind of look at this might sound funny, but look at jersey sales. Because to me, when you look at jersey sales, that tells me who the fans want to read about.
Yep.
Yeah.
So ultimately, LeBron's number one, right? Steph Curry's number two.
LaMelo was 15. I was shocked. LaMelo was 15.
Yeah, because he's rising.
And RJ Barrett was 14.
So no, I mean also I love the Heat. Anything about coming to Miami is a great idea to me. I root for cities, so if it's Golden State, Miami, that means I could be at home half of it and then be on the beach the other half, staying at the Soho House. So I'm all for that. You know what I mean? Like, but I just think fans are sensitive to their teams. Like, why aren't they talking about my team? It ain't about like, are you really not getting attention, or you just want to hear about your team?
Right.
So if you're really, really worried about that, then you should probably make sure you follow the Herald, Follow all the people that like
Follow
Sun
5
Sentinel,
Reasons
like
Sports?
because they're gonna give you what you want every day,
Yeah.
right? Like nationally, why
Right,
should
yeah.
we be like, what are the Heat doing that like you're like, oh man?
Well, so that's sort of it, right? It's like this year in particular, because me and Timmy have heard this. This year in particular, it's like they're doing like Eric Spoelstra's putting together a coach of the year type of season.
5 undrafted players.
Given what they've done with all these undrafted players and all these guys who were overlooked, and then Jimmy Butler being out, Bam being out, Kyle Lowry now out, Tyler Hero's been in and out lately. And it's really that kind of thing. Like, why aren't they talking about Eric Spoelstra and the organization in the way that, you know, why are they instead talking about the Nets, the Knicks, the Lakers?
But what are we like,
et cetera?
a gang? Why are they? Like, who is they? Like, explain to me who they is.
That's what they
So
according
Who
to
is they? I hate they as a journalist.
So the stations
Like, give
that
me
should,
like or even as a
stations-
journalist when they say,
and going back to our social media conversation,
you know what they are saying. Who is they?
I'm just being the middleman
Whoever
here.
this they person is the biggest jerk ever, man.
So
like he's the
basically
biggest
it's,
hater ever.
the
Like
channels
I
that
feel
should
like
again.
there's somebody out there whose last name is Day, who is just like the biggest hater of all time, man.
Yeah. So it's basically that the people who show the games, so NBA TV, Turner, and ESPN, they show the games. That's what the people watch when they watch the games, and you don't hear about the Heat. So it's like Jimmy's putting up his best season ever. Bam is the best one won the center in the league.
What's the Heat's record right now?
Third, so like 29 and 16, but like they're a half a game from the first seed. Better than the Bucks, better than the Celtics.
I'll say this. So basically, my point is, one, I have no power because it was up to me. I think I would like if you read what I write, I write about everybody.
Yeah,
all over the league.
I like the Larry story you did early in the season.
Yeah. So you didn't say nothing about that. They didn't say anything about the Lowry sit down I got, right?
Yeah.
Or they didn't say anything about the Bam Adebayo story I wrote, or I wrote a lot about them in the bubble.
And that's why I read the bubble.
They has a short memory.
The bubble shirt.
Yeah. They have a.
They do. It's a valid point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually think that fans need to worry about it in the playoffs, because if your team is winning, you're gonna get the love you want. You know what I mean? And like in the postseason, like, you know what I mean? Like I get it. I mean, because I think a lot of times, like, I was lucky to have a really good relationship with Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I have to thank Chauncey Billups for that. But, you know, Kyle doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's not really comfortable doing a lot of interviews. So maybe that's part of it. You know, Jimmy's been in and out, right? Injury stuff. Bam's been in and out. But I also think the Heat like it this way.
Yep. Yeah, I think the team itself.
Yeah, they'd rather stay away anyway instead of putting a big spotlight on them. I don't really get too excited about the records until like late March.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's cool that a team is number one right now, but when they go through the storms of the season, where do they end up?
Right.
So no, I get it. I think the thing that's tough is this. For fans throughout the league, it's always going to be talk about LeBron. Always going to be talk about Steph. Always going to be talk about Kevin Durant and the Nets and Kyrie, like all the sexy teams, right?
Yeah.
And so it even can be frustrating to me as a journalist sometimes, like when you go on shows and I'm like, hey, this team is interesting. Well, they're not. Like, just because a team is popular and they're doing well doesn't mean like nationally that people are excited about it, which sucks, right? Because like the Bucks should get more due. Like, I think a team that really has something
defending champions.
Well, yeah. I think one team that certainly has a lot to whine about is the Suns. Like, they got the best record in the league. How much we talk about the Suns?
Only when they almost lost to the Mavericks, and then you have the
Yeah,
long.
you like, or what's going on with their owner and everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's ultimately when there's 30 teams, it's hard to carve out attention. And I think did you guys watch the movie Mo Better Blues?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Like Mo Better Blues is to me the greatest movie of all time. I love that movie, and I know all the words, and it's an eclectic choice, but I love the movie. But there was Bleak Gilliam. I want to name my unborn son Bleak, but I don't think my wife will let me. Bleak Gilliam and Shadow Henderson had this argument where Bleak Gilliam was like basically saying that people aren't listening to his voice. Like he likes to play the music, like he likes to be creative and play his music that you know is from his creativity, from his imagination. And Shadow Henderson's like, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna play the music that people like. You play the stuff that people will like, people will come. Simple as that. And I think nationally, when you look at these shows, they're playing the music that people at large like.
Yeah.
And so while maybe the Suns are amazing and the Heat are amazing and the Bucks are amazing, LeBron is the one that's going to get people to continue to watch.
Yeah.
Steph is, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
trying to give you guys an inside sauce. Like,
I also think it doesn't like going back to our original point too. Like, it doesn't matter that much. It's like, yo, if your team's gonna be good, they'll get talked about when they get talked about later on.
I think you don't want your team to get talked about because typically when they do, it's probably more negative than positive, right? So
I always thought you ever seen Hard Knocks, the New York Jets season in particular, when Rex Ryan said, you don't want to be underrated, you want to be where expectations are sky high. I think that's BS. Like I don't agree with that at all. I would want to be under the radar. I would prefer it that way. I think the Heat would also.
Yeah. No, it helps you keep, and they trust me, they're not complaining about it.
Nope. They don't care.
So I know with Bryan's next question is going to be something to preempt it. So, Mark, the reason why I go so hard is because the first NBA player to be drafted #1 overall, not from the Bahamas. I mean, sorry, not from the States, is Bahamian, Michael Thompson. And you go down, you have Klay Thompson, the son, who plays for the Warriors. And Klay finally came back. Mark's taking this very important call right now. So we have Klay, who plays for the Warriors, and we also have another Bahamian connection on the Warriors. DeMarco, the assistant coach, he's the head coach of the Bahamas national team. So the Warriors have always been my second team.
Where's DeMarco?
Even from when the Heat did bad in 08 and they had the We Believe Warriors, I loved the Warriors are always my West Coast team. So it brought me great joy to see Klay back. And like I said, you said DeMarco. DeMarco is the head coach of our national team. So just talk to me about Klay's return and this Warriors team. Like I think Curry is amazing at what he's doing this season. I always thought Curry was, even when people saying Curry is too small, you should keep him on. So like I was a Curry fan, and I love Draymond. Like when I play ball, I'm like the Draymond of my team. So like I just love the Warriors team.
Yeah, no, I think with Klay, he had such a great first game that I think the expectations went up.
Yeah,
like that he could be that every game, but now with the adrenaline gone, I think the Warriors as an organization and also their fans probably have to take a step back and let him, get back into it. The goal for the Warriors is to have him ready for the postseason, not right now.
When it matters.
Yeah, and to ramp him up, week by week, month by month. The great thing is I think all the rust will be gone by the time the postseason returns, but you still have to err on the side of caution. You still have to not push him too hard, put him in positions to succeed. I think also the other thing is like it's going to be it's a tough transition for Jordan Poole coming off the bench, but I think he has to start getting used to it because that's what it's going to be.
Right.
So with Klay, like I think that's part of the reason why the Warriors are having some struggles right now is because they're adapting to such a big presence joining their roster.
And Draymond is still out.
Yeah, well, and then he hasn't played with Draymond. That's huge. And then, Wiseman's on his way back soon too. So these are good problems, right? But I think for Clay, man, his story, perseverance and not giving up, like he easily could have retired. He's fine financially.
Yeah.
True.
Like and perhaps everybody couldn't have fought through it like him, right?
Two straight years, like that's
But
heavy
like
on the
to
mental.
tear your ACL and then your Achilles, it takes a strong person with a lot of love for the game to get back. And so I hope people in the States, in the Bahamas, all over the world, Canada, whatever, can learn from his story. That if you love something so much, you got to fight to get it back. And he fought to get it back. I hope he's back to becoming the player he was. I'm not so much worried about it offensively. I'm more worried about it defensively. If he could be the same kind of stopper that he was. I think it's going to be hard to be that kind of stopper again. That's not to say that he still won't be a great defender, but your lateral movement, your ability to chase people, like I think that will come in time. Durant shows you that you can recover, right? So I actually think he'll be better come playoff time, even better next season than now.
Yeah, and you have Gary Payton Jr., you have Wiggins, who I think has made a good, a great fit. You don't know what Kuminga will be, so I think that's a good core around them.
My guy Juan Toscano, you know what I'm saying? We've talked about him on the show because I try to show love.
You got to get him on, man.
Every fellow Latino in the NBA, you know what I'm saying? And speaking of playing in Mexico, Juan Toscano played in Mexico before he got to the NBA also. So
yeah,
that's
I'm really always often curious about how Latin America, because I realize that it's bigger than Mexico. Like Latin America loves Toscano Anderson, and if you got to meet him, he's one of the best human beings you ever meet. Amazing story, something of movies. Like it's certainly there's a really good documentary, or not documentary, a feature that NBC Sports Bay Area did on him. You should look it up. It's great. Yeah. It goes to Mexico with him. But I don't know that there's any player that faced greater odds to make it to the NBA than him. Like he didn't even put his name in the draft.
Yeah.
Think about that. He didn't even put his name in the draft because he didn't believe at that time that he could be an NBA player.
Yeah, like I'm in Big East country, so and he played at Marquette. And he wasn't somebody who you saw him and was like, yo, he's definitely going to the NBA or anything like that. He was like a really good high level defender, role player in college. And then a few years later, he pops up and he's on the NBA roster, at one of the NBA rosters that we talk about.
Yeah.
Because they're doing so well. It's a crazy story.
I think one thing that I think a lot of people got to realize is so much emphasis is always put on scoring.
Agree.
But to play in the NBA, there's a lot of you have more opportunities to get in doing something else great other than scoring.
Right.
Yep.
Look at how Udonis has been there. Was he a great scorer?
No.
Garrett Temple, you see a guy like Juan Toscano Anderson. He hasn't put up 30 in a game.
Mm-hmm.
He does. You need people to do all the dirty work. You need people to do the little things. You need people to, and he could do that.
Absolutely. I would love to sit down with him at some point since I cover sort of Latin Americans also. But me and Timmay have talked about that on this show. But yeah, Marc, we want to get to some non-sports stuff before we go. And I like to ask fellow writers, just not during their writing process, what is it that they listen to in terms of music? If you can listen to music, because I know some people that could only listen to instrumentals, other people that can listen to, whatever type of hip hop, whatever the case may be. So is there something that you could actually just play straight through, or what are the sort of sounds that you're looking for when you're actually writing and trying to put something together?
I'm a huge music fan, right? I'm all over the place. I love R&B. I love rap. I love Afro beats. I love Tejano music.
My guy, Afro
You
beats.
know, yeah, like jazz, huge jazz fan. Shout out to Branford Marsalis. But the best thing for me when I write is silence.
Okay.
You know, and actually,
I get it. Yeah.
going back to Mo Better Blues, there's a part when Bleak is practicing, and he has like a fake trumpet, and he's making a noise on the sounds and everything, and you could tell like he's in this zone, right, where he's creating music, and he's practicing without a trumpet, and then somebody calls him to come up. Clark Benacourt pushes doorbell to come up, and you could tell like even though he's excited to see her, he's irritated because he's practicing. Right. And that's how, like, when I'm writing, and especially I think writing a lot of times could be like getting some good sleep. If you're in a zone, you don't want to be distracted.
Yeah.
And so a phone call, noise, a knock on the door, like it takes you out of that zone, right? So to me, like I could see the water outside my window, and so when I'm thinking that might kind of be my music, is just like looking at the water, kind of like, all right, because it's peaceful. You know what I mean? Now, when it's over, I might want some music to celebrate me sending that story in via email, right?
Yeah.
But I need silence. I need silence. You could ask some journalists, NBA writers that have been in the business a long time. If I'm writing on deadline and I'm at a game, and sometimes those like TV reporters and camera people come into the media room afterwards, and they're like talking and having a conversation while people are writing, including myself, I'll tell them to shut the hell up. I'm like, hey, you guys are done working. Why don't you take that conversation to the bar, man?
Yeah.
Like, I'm writing right now. Like, and I'm not like apologetic about it or nothing. Like, when they're doing their live shot, I ain't dancing behind them and going like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, respect me when I'm trying to write.
Right.
You know, so I'll probably even put some noise canceling headphones on. I do not, if I have the time, I'll actually, if I'm writing after a game, I get what I need and leave and write at the hotel.
Yeah. Because you can control it there.
I need silence. I don't need distractions and this person, that person gonna get a Coke and all this other stuff going on. And hey man, what you about to do? When you gonna be done?
I'm working.
Like, let me I'm gonna go. And like, even with TV hits, like I can't write till the TV hits are done.
Yeah.
Because you almost need to like focus one at a time, you know what I mean? And so my noise is nothing, silence.
So it's one question
because and if you love music, like I love music, music will be a distraction,
and you want to focus on it. You want to dissect it.
Yeah, like I'll be like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Like now I'm not writing because I'm feeling the song.
So when you're done with a story to celebrate, what would you play then? Since you're not gonna listen as you're working, but like when you're done and you could chill, what are you putting on?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. When I'm in a good mood and I just want to I listen to Fela. Probably surprise you guys. I like listening to Fela, man. Like just to if I'm in a good mood, just want to get the blood flowing a little bit.
Yeah.
I just love his music, man, and of the similar genre. If I'm kind of like in a melancholy mood, it's probably more jazz.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm trying to get my energy up because I'm gonna go out, it's probably hip hop and R&B.
Yeah.
What are the hip hop choices? This I gotta know. As somebody wearing a Prodigy hoodie, I gotta know. So
I mean, I'm a huge Biggie fan.
Baby.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's weird because I'm a huge Biggie fan, but I don't listen to his music all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you
It's
run
like a
out. That's
mood, like,
why
huh?
you run out at some point
I
because he.
think I think what happened is, yeah, I think what happened too is I got some people in the Bay and in Cali that get mad at me because I'm a big fan of East Coast hip hop,
Yeah.
and I think the reason why I'm a big fan of like, but I'm talking about like '90s East Coast
Yeah.
hip hop
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
is because there is a lot of jazzy stuff in the back, a lot of jazz in the back, like Tribe Called Quest,
yeah.
you know, even like some leaders of the new school, like just some of the real like old stuff, like um, I love because or just the energy of a Public Enemy,
Mm-hmm.
but like
Yeah.
the Roots, like just I love artists that are really creative, that like really dug in the crates, man, that found something beautiful to put some to music. So I think it's a mood thing, man. It's just what mood you in and what kind of music hits you at that time.
I know we have about 4 minutes before our producer bails on us, but I really wanted to ask this question. You have such an appreciation for other cultures. Like I know you when you came down to Bahamas, you might go to Mexico, like New Orleans. Just talk to me about where that comes from. Like what part of your maybe growing up or was it childhood or like gave you appreciation such vast cultures? Because like you're an American, you're Black American, but you have a really appreciation of other cultures of other Black people and not I just always wanted to know about that.
Um, I think growing up in San Jose, California, like I went to school with everybody, man. Like there
Yeah.
was no dominant race. Went to a school with a lot of Hispanics, went to school with a lot of Asians, went to a school with a lot of mixed race kids. People might think I'm mixed race, but I'm fully Black. My neighbors next door, like the block that I lived on, we had Blacks, Mexican, El Salvadorian, Korean, um, white Mexican, like Filipino. Like I thought it was normal to live in a melting pot. And also like it was like that at my school where I went. My best friend, one of my best friends to this day is a dude named Ernie Tabasa. His mom was Black and his dad was Filipino. Like I just, you know, grew up with an eclectic group of friends, and actually not really around a ton of white people, mostly just probably like what you see in New York, right? So it allowed me to learn more about like different cultures and different foods, and like I love lumpia, which I shouldn't love, but I love lumpia. Um, and I fell in love with Mexican food as a kid. I fell in love with Asian food as a kid. I wasn't eating like soul food every day, But then I think through this job that I have as an NBA writer, I've been able to travel the world and see different things. And I think my mom, she always like took me and my sister to like museums and stuff like that, and kind of like opened our horizons on what the world could offer. So I mean, it was cool. I talked to Alperen Sengun. I'm probably saying his name wrong, from the Rockets the other day,
He's one of my
and I
favorite
was
rookies right now. He's pretty good.
Sengun, yeah.
Sengun,
Sengun,
I
yeah.
think it's Sengun, yeah.
And I talked to him about how I went to Turkey, and he was like happy to talk to me
Oh yeah.
about and about going to an army base in Turkey with the Denver Nuggets. And so like I've been to this job has taken me to China, Turkey, Italy, France, Bahamas, Sweden, South Africa. Like I've seen the world because of this job, man. And it kind of like puts things in perspective in terms of what you appreciate from your country, but also what your country could do better, and how the world is so much bigger than America, right?
yeah,
Like us Americans can like think the world revolves around us, but then you go to Italy and you see how one thing I love about going to other countries is sometimes you see people that don't have a lot of money, but they don't have a lot of stress, and they're very, very
yeah,
happy.
yeah,
They love their family. Um, their family is provided for and is the center of their life, and they don't have a lot of the stresses that us Americans have. And so I just love going to like the Bahamas. When I went out there, I was like, what did I tell you to do? I said, I need some great seafood, right?
Yeah,
Take me to a great seafood restaurant. And then went to the fish market, right? Fish fry. Went to the fish fry, and I hung out at the fish fry and like saw like a different version of Domino's, and saw like, I'm like, man, these dudes talk stuff to each other the same way we talk stuff to. It's black folks are the same world. We all like have fun, talk trash to each other.
Dominoes in the band, talk to each other. That's it.
Yeah, but also I learned that my work has impact on people that I've never seen. I was in South Africa, and this woman like cried when she met me.
Wow.
And then like I was like, whoa, like it really caught me off guard. And she's like, I've just been reading your work for so long, and your work inspires me, and it touches you. And so I was touched by her. So I think like I've kind of had a goal to try to go somewhere different every year, right? The pandemic has kind of like sidelined those hopes, but I just love learning about different cultures. I don't just read, like I read Al Jazeera, I read Reuters, I watch different newscasts. I don't just go by what we think here. I want to hear what the world thinks and get the world view. So I think it helps me as a writer, and it helps me as a human. Like it's a big world and it's a small world at the same time.
Yeah,
and,
thanks to the internet.
Yeah, and so that's how I feel connected to you through Twitter, but through our visit there, we met, and you showed me some love, and I'm like, this cool cat's cool. I learned that people in the Bahamas really love KFC and Wendy's.
That video is still on my Instagram.
Chicken sandwiches, man. That's like the funny things you learn about different places too. I was like, Timmay, man, like, why is all these cars at the Wendy's? Man, you gotta get that spicy chicken sandwich, man, is off the hook. Yeah, and I'm
Marc
like, really?
believe it. He could not believe it.
Spicy chicken sandwich, Wendy's. And then when I came back home, there was no line, but I went and got one. I'm like, they're right. This is a good chicken sandwich, man. Like, we sleeping on this in the United States. We sleeping on the spicy chicken sandwich. And like, so I just love learning. I love learning about the world and learning different cultures and the only fear is like they don't welcome you like you're welcoming them. Like you see a big old black dude come up. I remember being in I know I'm rambling on. I was in Italy I was in Monaco, and I go into like the 007 hotel, right? I forgot the name of the hotel, but and they have all the stuff, shaken not stirred, drinks and stuff like that. The hotel actually has this amazing restaurant overlooking the water. It's beautiful. And so I'm in the casino, big old black dude. I saw one of the security guards kind of like, who is it? Why is this guy here? Like, what is he doing? So I'm looking up, and they had this beautiful art, beautiful tapestry. And I started asking the guard about the art in the hotel. Like, this art looks like it's like hundreds of years old. And he's like, all of a sudden this guard comes down, and he's like, nobody ever asked me about that. Like, they just walk through here to gamble, but they don't. How did you pay attention to that? I'm like, man, they got some beautiful art in here. And he had like kind of gave me this impromptu tour of the magnificence of the art in this venue. And so I wish we could all kind of like let our guard down and get to know people, and can't judge a book by its cover, right? Like, get to know people and let them in and let them know your culture. Just like, I always still appreciate Timmay when I came out there. we just met, we hit it off, and he came and scooped me up, took me to dinner, and showed me around and introduced me to folks, and it was dope. Like, I always appreciate that, and hopefully I could return the favor one day, or even come back out there and hang out. Right?
For sure.
If we're in New York during the draft, we're gonna go get some. We're gonna go do something. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, I just think in order to really appreciate the world, you have to be open-minded to the world, and that's kind of shaped me as a person.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, man. And we got the Heat Lakers today. We got some big football games. Any predictions where we go?
Let me see. Big predictions. Give me the games, and I'll tell you.
Or since, because this is airing Monday, those games will be done. We could forecast forecast the Super Bowl and the NBA Finals for us. Do that.
I have the Bills beating the Niners in the Super Bowl.
The Niners, okay, Bay Area, yeah. No, you got to rep.
No, I said beating. I didn't say winning.
No, you got the.
But they had to make it there. They had to make it there first.
Yeah.
Hey man, like this Niners team.
That defense is real.
The defense is real, and they're like that, dude. You don't want to fight, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to fight them, man. Like they don't. Just when you think that they're done, they show up with a chair and hit you over the head with it, man. Like they just.
As a wrestling fan, I appreciate that.
Yeah, like I just they just have this unique ability. Like I tell people, when you get to the playoffs, it don't matter if it's a pretty win. You just got to get a win.
Yep. Yeah.
And they figure out how to win. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know you're a Warriors guy, but I think you might actually.
No, I'm not a Warriors guy. I just live in the Bay Area. like, let's clear that up. I live in the Bay Area. When I was in Boston, I wasn't a Celtics guy.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I grew up in the Bay. I grew up a Warriors fan, but I wish them the best. But if they lose, I lose no sleep.
I think the Suns make it, though. In my opinion, I think the Suns make it to the finals again.
Yeah. And you know what? If they do, I think it's a great story for them, because you talk about, you want to tell me the team that's being disrespected the most is them.
Yeah, for sure.
They should certainly have a lot more interest than they're getting. They should have 3 All-Stars this year.
Yeah.
But I don't know why, but it's like people don't believe.
Yeah.
Or us as the media, because like you said, we set the trends.
Yeah.
We're not talking about them. But
yeah.
And who do you guys?
They'll get their just due. I do think right now the Suns are the best team in the league for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a huge fan of coach. I always was a Chris Paul fan, and of course, Ayton. I like Bridges. So I really wish they won.
See, you're the one that's being a homer. You're picking the Suns because of DA.
Yeah.
That's all that is. And you're hoping that they play Miami so you can get your credential and cover the eastern portion of the.
I'm honest.
You're so right.
I'm honest.
Well, let's flip that up, man. You the real homer here. Wearing a Heat shirt. You know what I mean? You talk about me. I got San Jose State on. You got a Heat shirt on. From the bubble, which you weren't even in the bubble, so you had to do something special to get that T-shirt.
This is a Christmas present for my mom.
See, exactly.
But I'm honest.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
What would they say about it?
What would they?
This has been great, man. This has been great.
Absolutely. Right, Absolutely. For sure.
Well, my pleasure, and we'll wrap soon, man. We'll do it live from Miami during the finals, right?
For sure.
All right.
Thank you so much.